But do you know how many times in the last 18 years that we find these dump truck loads of dirt on the side of the road, in the city street, in the sidewalk, and easement, and on vacant lots? I mean, how would you feel if you went out to a vacant piece of property that you own in the city where you're going to build your quote-unquote dream home or retirement home, and somebody dumped 3, 4, 5, 6 loads of dirt on that property? And it's not clean dirt per se, it's mixed with, well, scrap dirt, bricks, and blocks, and sand, and other dirt that you just don't want on that property. So, it just so happened that this case that Michael LaChapelle, raise your hand, Michael, that's my right-hand man there, we're working this case. Do you know how hard it is to trace dirt? I mean, it's basically literally impossible. And yet I've got this property owner saying, Sergeant Walsh, this is going to cost me thousands of dollars to get this dirt cleaned up off of my property. I didn't ask anybody to put that dirt there. I don't want that dirt there. It's got bricks and blocks and sand and stones. And I'm like, well, I can't trace dirt. But this so happens that we had a friend of mine who owns a company in this area downtown take a photograph. You know, cell phones are wonderful. They have cameras. So he snapped a picture here and a picture here. And he witnessed this dump truck dump this load of dirt. So he gets the license plate because he's been trained by Sergeant Walsh. He doesn't get the plate number, it doesn't mean diddly squat. You got to get the plate number because the name on the door can be diddly squat, and which it was, because that business has gone out of business years ago. It's got one dump truck from somebody who never took the name off the door. They got the plate number, did an investigation, interviewed the guy at first for what, 20, 30 minutes, Michael. He denied everything. I said, well, I got an eyewitness who's never been to jail before. In the past, he's always given me incredible lot of information. And then I have you who's on parole for aggravated robbery, been to prison for 10 years. You're telling me you didn't do it, and you're saying you did. I said, well, I guess I'll go ahead and leave and let the VA know all the facts. I just want to get your side of the story. And as I'm about to leave, he said, well, I'm not done yet. What do you mean you're not done yet? He goes, well, I know one of those loads. Well, you know, like something got to beat up. How many years did he have? 2? Yeah, too many. So, you know, the guy that hired him had to go out there that same day, cost him probably close to $1,000 to clean up what? 50,000 pounds of dirt. So do the math. 6 loads, 10, 15 cubic yards per dump truck load, 700 pounds per cubic yard. You know, and this goes on, and it's been going on throughout the city for like forever. Anytime that any investigator, regulator, or inspector finds a case that has waste that's non-traceable, we make sure we pull out all the stops. Car tires, truck tires are traceable, dirt, asphalt, because if we can get a hold of that industry, if we can shake them up a little bit, wake them up a little bit, we can curtail all of this illegal dumping. So of course, where does Michael LaChapelle and I go? We go to the main place, right? The Dynamo, is that the name of them? Dynamo Stadium? Is that the soccer team? Dynamo? Of course, that's where the dirt came from. We talked to the main guy. Hey, you know, you hired a contractor, you hired a contractor, you hired a contractor, you haul off all these loads of dirt, dump them illegally. And we were there for probably 15, 20 minutes, and it's amazing. And when you talk to the top guy or lady, how much he's done. I mean, sadly to say the truth, some people got fired for holding the payment. But listen, warnings are over. If you're here today and you're an entrepreneur in the process of providing your service or producing your product, you generate a waste stream. I think it's pathetic. I really do. I think it's pathetic that we're getting to the point where we have to manifest dump truck loads of dirt because we can't trust anybody anymore. But that's what happens when you hire people. And animals haven't been trained yet to drive dump trucks, and I don't think it's ever going to happen. But listen, I worked 3 years in the Air Force, 3 of my 4 years in the Air Force training dogs, and I'd rather have a dog as a partner than a human. No disrespect, Michael. There's limitations to what you can train an animal to do. Okay, in closing, I'm sure I'm down to 35 minutes. I wanted to just mention this because you may call and say, hey, Sergeant Walsh, they're doing this and they're doing this. 1 month. But the investigation is still ongoing, and we're looking to see if there's any fish upstream that we can sort of tag for this, because we don't think he was operating alone. The picture that I'm painting is that if you call and we can't come right away, give us a little, be patient with us. Because we are, as per our mayor, we are doing more with less. And we really are. But just take into consideration that when you call because somebody's washing the driveway or the sidewalk and we can't get out there in time to make the pace, it's probably because we're working in more important ways than the case that you're calling in. Don't we make it out there, may be a little while. Now, this is the part that I hate. And I don't know whether I should open up my public investor now. Maybe I should have you come over and stand in front of me so I can hide behind you. Are there any questions?
Yes, sir. Real fast parking garage, I would say that it doesn't, so that it's all new old water centers. Yes, sir. On the bottom level, it's applied every floor. That is going to 1 year. But that bottom one is, does that make it first water, so the other day, is that all the water goes that is on the bottom floor of gym store parking.
You know, sometimes the problem is never with the answer. Sometimes the problem is with the question. Because there's so many facets to that question that we need to fill in before I give you an answer. Like, have you profiled the wastewater that you're generating in the process of providing the service? Because remember what I said in one of those first stories, some of the wastewater generated in the process of providing the service, the pressure washing a parking garage, could have T-clip hazardous. Well, if it had that much lead in it, or cadmium, or chromium, it does not matter that the parking garage is applied for sanitary sewer, because the industrial wastewater treatment department with Clyde Smith is not going to give you a permit to discharge potentially hazardous waste down to sanitary sewer. So you can't, the more you know about something, the more you know that the answer is just definitely yes or no. You have to get more information from the question. So you can't answer that. I can't answer that. Maureen can't answer that. Steve can't answer that, because you have to first profile the waste stream to make it an absolute representation of all of the waste stream that you're going to generate. Then if you get a permit from the city to discharge down to sanitary sewer through the industrial wastewater permitting section, then you've got a prerequisite. You have a peripheral where you cannot go over that peripheral. And if you do, then that case could represent a case to be filed against you as per TCEQ. And if you're actually discharging something that's not permitted, a waste stream of metal, whatever, and it's not in that permit, whether you're under it or over the permit, it could be a criminal violation of the Texas Clean Water Act and water pollution. So I can't answer your question other than to say that you definitely want to do your homework, maybe have a lawyer, get it a case by case. Yeah, every case is a case by case. So it's a hard question to answer. I can't answer it other than to say I would put more thought into it, and make sure you know what the parameters and the peripherals are, the prerequisites for that oil and water separator. If you start pressure washing, you've got paint that's been there for 25 years, 4,000, 3,800 psi, 4 gallons a minute, and that paint's coming off and going into that sanitary sewer. You go out there and take a sample and comes back toxic. Well, now you're disposing of hazardous waste at an unpermitted site, and that's not a good thing. Any other questions? Yes, sir?
Just an information for people in Cologne case. And usually there are some sellers that before we get a government, you will clean out the metal of the poultry, and that's clean water going, not boil. Clean water it doesn't happen. So don't be afraid from that. Testing, if the sellers say, this is magic, what is magic thing? Why do the testing goes without?
All right, we'll close with this.
One more question on that.
Let me just close with this. Midway Park, Michael, if you want to do it, help me out there, pressure washing the parking lot. They had booms, they were pressure washing, and they thought that everything was being captured by the booms. Of course, we go out there and take a sample downstream of the booms, and it was an open end, it was the beginning of the storm drain. came back, elevated TPH, metals, volatiles, some of the volatiles. So don't be, our blanket statement is if you generate wastewater, reclaim it.
Just ask one question. Just curious, right? Saying what you're saying and all these things that take place. What are you seeing for a positive result with the behaviors as far as using applying these tactics to the contractors? What are you seeing for results?
The assistant district attorney, Roger Haskins, come in and he could probably be the best person to answer that question because I never, as a normative, look to see what the end result is on these cases. It's an excellent question, but Roger can basically give you how much waste, maybe even Steve, how much waste is it? Tens or hundreds of billions of pounds of waste that we've had cleaned up in the city by the suspects who did need probably millions of gallons of wastewater remediated from the city by the suspects who actually committed the offense. So I know it's positive. I want to answer your question correctly, so I got to yield to the DA when he gets up here, I think, in about an hour to deal with it. All right. Thank you very much.